Alright guys, so this is going to be Heroic Ursoc, and I'm going to just cover this fight. It's a pretty basic fight. It's really not a lot of complicated mechanics to it. What it is going to be is a DPS check for the raid, and it's going to pretty much push us to make sure that we can complete the fight before we're overwhelmed by the softened rage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover some of the basic mechanics and then the strat that we're going to be using, and then maybe if there's going to be any changes, we'll just talk over them later during the raid time. Okay, so for this, what I'm going to do is, so first thing we're going to do is Heroic Ursoc. It's pretty much Butcher. It's a single target fight. There's going to be no AoE, no ads. All we're going to be doing is standing by the boss and trying to burn it down. The mechanics are pretty similar to Butcher. Straight DPS check, and this means that y'all need to be maximize your class and your abilities to make sure we get it down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show where we're going to be standing as a raid. So this room, I drew it as a square. It might be a square. It's kind of like a little jagged, but Ursoc is going to be tanked along the edges of this square, of the edges of the room. So tank positions, tanks are going to be tanking Ursoc right in front of it. The primary tank that's tanking is going to be in front. The off tank, or the tank number 2, is going to be off to the side. So the raid itself is going to be divided into 2 groups. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to have the entire raid stacked as one group. And we're going to continuously follow the boss along, and we're going to be on his back left leg. So it should be approximately right there. Okay? So this is going to be the raid. Raid. Okay. So the mechanic this boss has is called Focus Gaze. Focus Gaze, 6 seconds, it's going to charge a player, and it's going to hit you with Trampling Slam. So what it's going to do is it's going to point out to one of you guys. It's going to say, hey, I don't know, so-and-so, you now have, he's focused on you. So what you're going to do is you're going to run all the way from wherever the raid is at. You're going to take it off. You're going to take off straight to the star, okay? From there, the raid is going to be split up into 2 different groups. This will be picked out ahead of time. Whatever we decide, we'll put you into different groups as we go into the raid. So you're going to be group 1 and group 2. Okay. More than likely it's going to be like group 1, 3, 5 and groups 2, 4, 6. So this raid, the raid that's stacked up right now, we're going to divide into another group. So we're going to move over here. Okay. So if I say group 1, you're going to move directly behind the boss. Okay. This means that you're going to be standing right here, in between the boss and the player that's targeted. Okay. The player that's targeted is going to come stand on the marker. It's probably going to be a star. It's going to be in the center of the room. What you want to do is make sure that you're 30 yards away. You're going to do a slash range 30. You're going to haul ass as far as you can. I don't care about your DPS. Don't care what you're doing. Just take off and run straight to the star. Okay. The rest of the raid, group 1, same deal. If you can DPS on the move, great. If not, the point is for you to stand directly behind the boss within those 6 seconds. Okay. One of the members in group 1 is going to be marked. Okay, so say we have him marked with diamond, right? So we're going to stack on diamond. Diamond's going to make sure that he's in line with star, and this way Ursoc is going to then run straight through the raid. Okay, it's going to run this way. He's going to knock all of y'all aside, same way that Butcher did. It's going to cause cleave damage to the raid standing here, and it's going to hit this player here, and it's going to hit him with about, I don't know, whatever 2 mil damage is, or something like that. And then it's gonna, that player, the farther he is away, the less damage he's gonna take. Also, this damage is physical, so what you can do is you can pop cooldowns, anything to mitigate physical damage. Okay. Okay. Mitigate the physical damage from Trampling Slam. Okay. This can be bop, any of your own personal defensives, anything you want to pop in order to make sure you take less damage. Any players here, you're really not going to want to pop your defensives at this time. There is more raid damage that goes out. So we really don't need you to be popping your personals at this time. However, you will use hellstones, pots, or whatever you need to do to bring yourself back up after the boss enrages at 30%. Okay, so after you take a hit, you're going to gain a momentum debuff. Okay, this is why we have two groups. Each group is going to alternate. So after you take the hit, after you were knocked away, you're going to run back together to a clump. Okay, right here we'll have a clump. We'll have someone designated with a marker. Okay, there'll be someone with a marker. You're going to want to stack as tight as possible on them. Ranged, obviously, I understand like if you're not stacked directly on top of the person, but you need to be within 25 yards of the boss, and the way we're ensuring that is by making sure the entire raid is stacked close here. Another key point, you want to be standing at the very least max melee range away. So casters, you can stand a little bit farther back, but if you're too close to melee range, like say you're underneath the boss's leg, when he turns around and charges, it might clip you as well. And if you have the momentum debuff, this right here, momentum debuff, people gain momentum debuff. If you get 2 stacks of it, it's an insta kill. So for a fight where we need everybody alive, there's no reason to get hit by a basic mechanic like that. So make sure you only take your 1 stack. So what we're going to do as the fight goes on is we're going to alternate. Group 1, Group 2, Group 1, and Group 2. Okay? So it's going to be pretty simple rotation. I don't even know if I need to write it down, but Group 1, first stack, Group 2, second stack, so on. Okay? All you're going to do is rotate back around to make sure that we aren't spreading the debuff. So it's just like Butcher. Instead of there are people standing out and taking cleaves or whatever, he's just running through the entire group. So, designated melee stack point. At the same time that this is happening, after he does a charge, he does Roaring Cacophony. Okay? Now this is going to happen before, and it's going to happen after each charge. So it's going to happen before. This will be all stacked together within 25 yards. We'll take some damage. The group will split off. He'll charge through you, take some more damage. And then after that, we're going to stack back together, and he's going to do another roar, which does more damage. Okay? If DBM is not giving you an accurate read on when this is going to happen, all you need to do is look at the boss and look at his energy bar. Okay? When he reaches full energy, he's going to do the whole combo of focusing, charging, coming back. Alright? And then doing the roar. So, all you have to do, I'm not sure where the add-ons will be at that point, but if you've zoned out for some reason, just look at the boss, see when he hits full energy bar, and you know that's going to be happening. Okay, for the tanks, it's pretty easy. The easy way to remember it is you're going to taunt on every debuff, and then every time your debuff falls off, you can taunt again. Okay, he does 2 different abilities. One is called Overwhelm, the other one is Rend Flesh. Overwhelm is the one that stacks, Rend Flesh is a bleed. They're both physical damage, and it happens in between each other. So one as Overwhelm is going to happen, Rend Flesh is going to happen, Overwhelm happens, and then Overwhelm happens again. So the order is tank 1, just designate which one's 1 and 2, it doesn't really matter. You're both going to be taking the same amount of damage. Tank 1 takes Overwhelm, Tank 2 takes Rend Flesh, Tank 1 taunts him back again, takes a second stack, and then Tank 2 taunts, takes the first stack of Overwhelm. So all you want to do is hit 2 stacks and then swap over. And then tank 1, you take over the responsibilities of tank 2. Just look at this. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'll be there for both raids, and I'll be able to point it out to y'all, but it's pretty basic tank swaps, so don't expect any difficulties with this. If there is, then, this might not be for y'all. So the next thing is healers. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing raid healing for the most part. We're going to have one designated tank healer, and the other healers are going to pitch in after each roar and after each barreling impact. So whenever the boss reaches this person here at the star, whenever he hits them, it's going to cause damage to this person. It's also going to cause raid-wide damage. Okay, it's going to hit every single person in the raid, and this damage is mitigated by how many people he runs through. So say that only 5 people make it there in time. Whenever he hits this person here, it's going to wipe the raid because the amount of damage is just going to be too much for the healers to go through, especially since he does the roar right after. So this means that the most important thing you can do is DPS while moving, but hit your spot so that he actually runs through you to hit the person on star. So healers, just be prepared. The tanks are going to take a lot of damage because the roaring cacophony that they take, it stacks with this debuff right here. Okay, overwhelm. What it does is overwhelm increases the amount of physical damage that the target takes. So of course the impact and the roar are both physical damage. Tanks are going to be taking a ton of damage. It's basically a mitigation and gear check on the tanks, a DPS check on the raid. It's what's going to kind of let us know if we're ready to take on the bosses after the first 4. Alright, so be prepared. Lots of raid healing, lots of damage mitigation. We'll be using externals whenever these line up, and we'll also be using externals after the boss enrages at 30%. When the boss enrages at 30%, it's just going to be like Butcher. It's going to be a shit ton of damage coming out. All you need to do is make sure that the tanks stay up and the raiders DPS keeps going and doing as much as possible. Biggest thing to remember is just follow the mechanics, just keep swapping in and out. Raid group 1, group 2, group 1, group 2. Now, this is the fun part. So on top of all of this, we're also going to be moving around the room. The reason for this is that the boss, every time he does a roar, this roaring cacophony, he's going to leave a black circle on the ground. Okay? So every time he roars, he's going to leave a black circle. This black circle is 20 yards. Okay? 20 yards. All we need to do is keep moving. So the boss is going to continue to move all the way around the raid, all the way around the room. And we're going to try to stack these circles up on top of each other as much as possible. Okay? Right, does that make sense? So, similar mechanic to a lot of other bosses, you know, these circles are definitely not the same size. They leave a little bit of ground, a little bit of area that we have to keep moving them across. Okay, so we're probably going to start here at the top of the room, and what we're going to do is after that we will go clockwise around the room, moving in this direction. Okay, so one other thing to know is that just like any other patchwork fight, the biggest key here, the only way you're going to do this is you're going to want to minimize your movement as much as possible. Minimize movement. Okay. That is the best way to maximize DPS. Okay. If you're constantly running around, if you're constantly shifting, you're going to do horrendous DPS. The reason is you lose those precious seconds of uptime on the boss. So what you're going to want to do is, as we're shifting, the whole raid is going to be stacked together, right? So we need to make sure we move as little as possible, and then it goes for the tanks as well, to make sure you're out of this 20-yard range. At the same time as we're moving the boss, after each roar, we're going to move, and then the group's going to have to split up to make sure to cover the person that's being targeted. Okay? For right now, this is the most effective strategy. So until somebody comes out with something better, or we figure out an easier way of doing it, the only other alternative that I was thinking was maybe starting out stacked behind the boss and then just moving the groups out. But either way, you're going to have a group switch in and out. It's the way the fight was designed. It's the way Blizz intended it. That's the way they tested it on beta. So maybe something else will pop out. But for right now, this is the way that we're going to do it. Okay, so if there's any questions, let me know. It's a pretty straightforward fight. But this is one that we're going to be doing, probably one of the first 3 that we do. Or probably one of the first 2 after we kill the first boss. So please be brushed up on this and make sure that your gear is up to par. Alright, thank you.